A conflict is when there's a problem, when there's an issue, when there's tension. And a confrontation is when you're addressing the issue. So raise your hand if you think confrontation is a bad thing. Crickets. Raise your hand if you think confrontation is a good thing. Awesome. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how I used to handle confrontation when I was your age. I'll give you an example. I love my father. And he used to take me for ice cream when I was your age. We used to ride bikes and go to the park and play basketball and all those things. We had a really good relationship. And I love to play outside. You guys don't play outside anymore because you got video games and screens and iPads, but I would be at the park for 4 hours working on my game. I used to do everything outside. And then my father, Brittany, started a landscaping business where he's cutting grass. So one Saturday morning, I'm playing outside with my friends, and my dad calls me over. He says, "Hey, EJ, come here." And I run, I'm thinking he's about to take me to IHOP. I'm about to get these chocolate chip pancakes. Raise your hand if you like chocolate chip pancakes. If you don't, you're not serious about life. I'm thinking I'm about to get these pancakes. And he says, "Come on, son." I'm like, "Where are we going?" He says, "You're coming to work with me."
Fan.
I'm coming to work. I'm playing with my friends.
Fan.
He's like, no, come cut grass with me.
Nah.
I'm trying to play outside. And then I would go and cut grass, and it would really hurt my feelings, if I'm being honest. Because I just wanted to play with my friends. And then my job was to take the weed whacker and edge, and I didn't do it the way he wanted me to, so he would yell at me. And it would really hurt my feelings. But I wouldn't say anything. But I would just take note of it, remember what he did, and I would just file it away. And then, me and my brother are playing basketball, and I'm probably beating him, even though he's older than me. And we would get into it, because that's what brothers do. And then we would start fighting, and I would get punished. And my dad would yell at me and call me out of my name, and it would really hurt me. But I wouldn't say anything. But I would take note of it and file it away. And then, when I was 17, I got a car. And I'm driving to work one day, and the car blows up. It starts smoking. Come to find out, I'm putting the oil in the wrong container. And his mechanic told me, drew an X, said, "Put the oil right here." Come to find out, I was supposed to put antifreeze in that container and oil in somewhere else. So the car that my dad bought me didn't last. So I got yelled at. And it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
But I didn't say anything, Justin.
Took note of it.
But I took note of it.
Filed it away.
And I filed it away. And before you knew it, I had a big file. But I was passive, so I didn't say anything. Until I reached my boiling point.
Yeah, that's it.
And one day, because I'm dealing with school and work and my brother and relationships and everything, one day my father confronts me again, and I'm getting yelled at, and you know what I did? I took out the whole file, and I said, when I was 12 years old, you did this. When I was 13, you did this. When I was 15, you did this. And I went crazy, cursed him out, and fought my father.
Yeah, wow.
I had a volcanic eruption.
Yeah.
Because I didn't confront the issues when I should have.
Oof.
And things built up.
Yeah, it's real.
And I reached my boiling point. It's called being passive aggressive. I was passive, passive, passive every time something happened. And then when I reached my boiling point, I had this volcanic eruption, and I was aggressive. Calling him out of his name, doing all kinds of disrespectful things. Because I didn't confront the issues when I should have. And what I found out is that not only was I not loving him,
yeah,
I wasn't even loving myself.
Word. Word.
Because those statements kept replaying in my mind over and over again. If we're being honest, words hurt. Words hurt and they replay in your mind. And I kept filing it away and keeping records of wrongs. And 1 Corinthians 13 says, love does not keep a record of wrongs. And that's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was letting it fester and build up to the point where I'm robbing myself of peace because I wouldn't speak up for myself.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't just simply have a conversation and express myself and say, this is how I feel.
Yeah.
I wasn't loving him and I wasn't loving myself. But I want to let you guys know that Jesus knew that we would have to confront some stuff.
Word.
So in the Bible, he lays out a 4-step model on how we're supposed to have confrontations. So it says in Matthew chapter 18, it says, if your brother, if someone you love sins against you, go to him and show him his fault. But do it privately, just between yourselves. If he listens to you, you have won your brother back. If he will not listen to you, take 1 or 2 other persons with you, so that every accusation may be upheld by the testimony of 2 or more witnesses, as the scripture says. If he will not listen to them, then tell the whole thing to the church. Finally, if he will not listen to the church, treat him as though he were a pagan or a tax collector.
Yikes.
What does this mean?
Yikes.
Jesus is giving us this 4-step model, and he says if you have an issue and it's bothering you, you can't sleep at night, you just keep replaying what happened in your mind over and over again, go to that person and have a private conversation. Express yourself. This is called emotional intelligence. EQ. Raise your hand if you've heard of EQ, emotional intelligence. Some of us have. God wants us to express ourselves. Think about it. God already knows what we need, but yet he tells us to pray because he wants us to express ourselves. So he says, go to that person and have a private conversation so you don't have an EJ moment, so you don't store things away, so you can liberate yourself and prevent the volcanic eruption from happening. If that doesn't work, he says bring 2 people with you, like-minded people, unbiased people who can be there, and you have a group conference, because those unbiased people can point out some blind spots. EJ, maybe you didn't consider this. Elijah, maybe you didn't consider this. And they can hopefully help bring restoration and a resolution. If that doesn't work, involve leadership. Hey, EJ, would you mind sitting in on this conversation so we can come to a result, so we can come to a resolution? If that doesn't work, he says treat them as pagans or tax collectors. A pagan, Nyana, is a godless person. A tax collector is someone who betrayed their country. And Jesus loved these people. He spent time with them. But he says treat them like a pagan or a tax collector, which means you're going to have to put some distance between yourself, because you can't come to a resolution right now. You have to protect yourself and set a boundary in place. Have a private conversation.
Right.
If that doesn't work, have a group conference.
Right.
If that doesn't work, involve leadership. If that doesn't work, you're probably going to have to love them from a distance. I want to focus on step number 1 here. Have a private conversation. Because most of us are probably thinking, EJ, you want me to talk to the person that hurt my feelings? I can't do that. I'm going to die. You're not going to die. But you have to be willing to speak up for yourself so you prevent this from happening. Because if we're being honest, most of us in this room become passive aggressive. We just tolerate and tolerate and tolerate, and we sweep stuff under the rug until there's a 9-foot monster that's living under the rug. And it begins to destroy families, and destroy souls, and destroy minds.
Yeah.
Raise your hand You know some people that sweep some stuff under the rug and act like it's all good when it's not. That's how my family was. And it's toxic. And my wife and I, we're going to start a new tradition for our family where we're not sweeping anything under the rug. Jesus tells us in Matthew 18, don't sweep it under the rug. Simply have a conversation. You're supposed to love these people because what happens if you don't have a conversation, usually you explode on the people that are closest to you. Mom, dad, brother, sister, cousin, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. You explode on the people that you love most because you didn't confront the issue when it arose. Jesus wants us to confront these issues. Most of us are too passive to do that. And we don't speak up for ourselves. And we just tolerate it. And that's called passive communication, Liana. There's 4 different types of communication styles. And the first is passive communication, which is representative of a goat, where you just tolerate stuff. And the message you're conveying is, they matter, but I don't matter enough to speak up for myself.
Yeah.
The second communication style is aggressive, which is represented by a T-Rex, where you're just loud and arguing, and you're going to keep on arguing until you win, which is not good either. And the third and probably the worst is passive-aggressive, which can be represented by a dragon because it looks real good on the outside, but that thing is a fire-breathing monster. And that's what EJ did. EJ was a fire-breathing monster because of passive-aggressive communication. I was passive until I blew up and blew fire out of my mouth. The answer is assertive communication, which can be represented by a lion who knows who he is, who knows who she is, and she's willing to respectfully stand up for herself and communicate and express his or her feelings. I'll tell you a time when I first learned how to use assertive communication. My friend circle, it was me, EJ, RJ, and Jamal. And we would do everything together. We would go to the beach together. We would work out together. We would run sprints together. We would play basketball together. We would go eat together. Everything we did, we would do it together. And these guys were some comedians. Constant jokes. And I'm laughing and joking all the time with them. And they ran track in college. I played football in college. But I noticed a shift because they were always faster than me. So when we would go to the track and run sprints, they would always beat me. But I kept working hard. And then the next summer, when we're going to the track, I'm beating them in sprints. And they're trying to catch up to me. But I noticed that their jokes shifted. And I became the scapegoat of the jokes. And now we're not laughing together, but they're laughing at me. And it really, really, really bothered me. And I just let it go. And it kept happening.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I'm not losing any more sleep over this. I'm going to speak up for myself. So I picked up my handy-dandy cell phone. And I called RJ. And I said, hey, man, I want to talk to you about something. I know we've been friends for like 10 years. And I really value our friendship, but I got to tell you the truth. I feel slighted when I'm the scapegoat of every joke.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel singled out.
Yeah.
30 seconds. And you know what happened? The joke stopped. And we got on the same page because I spoke up for myself. But if I didn't speak up for myself, what do you think would have happened? It would have continued. And then I would have had another filing cabinet moment. Another volcanic eruption. I had to express my thoughts and my feelings. Because some people don't even know they offend you.
Yeah.
Some people don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's hurtful. Words can hurt. Raise your hand if you're team iPhone.
All day.
Okay? Raise your hand if you're team Android. Okay, there's a consensus here. We can learn something from Team iPhone about communication. And the thing we can learn is to send iMessages. Are iMessages blue or green? Blue. You want to be blue when you're confronting someone. And if you use the 4 E's, you're going to express your care for the relationship. You're going to express your emotion and how you feel. You're going to describe the experience that made you feel like that. And then you're going to communicate your expectation. But you're using I. Because if I say, Elijah, you hurt me when you said this, and you're a terrible person, and quite frankly, I'm getting ready to punch you in the face. That's threatening. And that's not the goal of restoration. But if I say, hey, Elijah, I value our friendship. And I want to let you know that I feel slighted when all the jokes, I'm the scapegoat. And I don't want to feel singled out. I is way better than you, Nyana. Because you is fighting words. Right. But I communicates that I care about you, but I have to stand up for myself. Right. Give me a head nod if this makes sense. Good stuff. This is a great time to take a picture. Because some of us know that we have some stuff to confront. You express your care for the relationship, which diffuses any tension. And then you express your emotion, how you feel. You describe the experience, what made you feel like that, and then you list your expectation. I don't want to feel singled out. Standing up for yourself is very important. And it prevents this from happening. It prevents these volcanic eruptions. Because if we're being honest, most of us in this room have had an EJ moment themselves, where we just let things fester and build, and then we just blow up. Because we're human. But Jesus says, get ahead of it. Prevent it from happening. Speak up for yourself. And some of us in this room, we need to make peace. Because some of us in this room know that we said something that we shouldn't have, and it violated or disrespected somebody. So saying, I'm sorry, changes the game. Some of us know we need to go and say, I'm sorry to someone for something. Matthew 5:9 says, blessed. We all want to be blessed. We all want God's favor. Blessed are the peacemakers. The peacemakers. Those who are going to take the initiative to make peace. For they will be called children of God. Jesus said, you will know me. They will know you by your love. By you caring about the person, by you loving them, by being kind to them. It shows that you're a child of God. Some of us need to get on the phone today and say, I'm sorry. Some of us need to have some Godfidence and confront some issues and know that God is going to empower you and speak to you and through you to confront some stuff to prevent this from happening. Have a private conversation, and like a lion, use iMessages. Use assertive communication. So the one thing I want you to take away from this time today is this. Use assertive communication to confront issues so they don't fester, so they don't build, so you don't have a blow up. We got to get ahead of it and prevent it from happening. Simply having a conversation. And as I was preparing for this, God told me that most of us in this room, some of us in this room have been hurt, have been wounded, have been neglected, have been robbed of love And now we've lowered our expectation of love. And we've been accepting less than we deserve as children of the King. And I want to let you know that it's not your fault. Satan is the one that is behind this. But I promise you that some people are going to go home today free and they're not going to experience this anymore because Jesus went to the cross to restore that broken trust. He went to the cross to place us in the Father's arms so we can be comforted, so we can be loved and receive the acceptance from God.